the IKEA tulip fabric. I cannot believe how lucky I got with this. I have some things to say. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a brand new sewing project. I really want to do some stash busting this week. My fabric stash is growing, and especially since I tend to keep any larger cuttings of fabric that are left over after a project, I need to go through that fairly regularly to make sure it doesn't start overflowing. So I was just rummaging through my scrap fabrics, I guess, and I came across one of my favorite fabrics that I've ever used, which is probably very well known to you. This fabric right here, the IKEA tulip fabric. I used this to make an entire 18th century dress out of, which I absolutely love doing. But apparently I have quite a bit of this left. Like, this is a fairly sizable amount of fabric, and I think I should easily be able to get a dress out of that. I even have some extra like smaller cuttings, like there's plenty of fabric here. So I was thinking, what can I do? What's a dress shape that doesn't use up too much fabric, especially for the skirt, and we all know how that can go. If I try to save fabric on a skirt. Yeah, I was trying to think of a shape that would use as little fabric as possible. And then also because of the print and the weight of this fabric, I actually think this would make a perfect transitional piece for that like late winter, early spring season, where you really get that spring fever and are just ready for the sun to come back. But it doesn't quite yet, and it's still very cool. Because this is actually upholstery weight fabric. This is meant for interior decorating and not necessarily for making clothes with, but it is also supple enough to make clothes out of. I have done it before and it works fine. My first thought was pinafore dress. Always cute, perfect to pair with sweaters, can be layered underneath things, over top of things. And then I thought, no, not a pinafore, a dirndl. Dirndls, I have a thing for dirndls, I always have. They're just so simple and yet so feminine, and I just adore them. I made one a couple of years ago, I think, out of linen, and for that I actually used this pattern. This is the folkwear Austrian dirndl pattern, and I used this view, which is view A. I haven't yet used view B, and view B is cut a little bit differently. It has a lower neckline. I think the neckline comes down to under the bust, or like halfway down the bust. It has a little bit less coverage, but as a layering piece I think that's actually perfect and could be really pretty. So I'm thinking of making that potentially with a slightly shorter skirt, like knee length or just a little bit over knee length. And I might even go in and alter a little bit more. I might do a panelled skirt so that it flares out a little bit more towards the bottom, just because that is my favorite skirt shape. So that is the plan for this week. I'm really excited. I absolutely adore this fabric. Before I do, however, I am a little bit embarrassed to admit, but keeping it real here, that I am still dealing with the fun little leftovers from my glitter tulle gown, meaning there is glitter absolutely everywhere. And I knew this before I started. You never truly get rid of glitter. It's gonna be here forever, but it could be a lot better than it is right now. So I think before we get started, I should get to cleaning, which is perfect because this video is very kindly sponsored by Blueland. I try to make sustainable choices whenever possible, and that is especially true for the products I use to clean my house with and things inside my house. And that is the main reason why I love Blueland products so much. Blueland make cleaning products that are sourced from clean ingredients, and they don't use any single-use plastic in any part of the process. If you're not familiar with the brand yet, I have talked about them loads on my channel, but their products are actually this. Just a little tablet in a paper wrapper, and you get one of these bottles that you can reuse forever using these little tablets. I love that I can have a little bit of stock in my cleaning cabinet without having these rows upon rows of cleaning bottles. I only have my 3 bottles and a bunch of these little tablets. And I also really like that I don't have to throw these bottles away after the product runs out. I can just refill them again and again and again. Actually, speaking of, my bathroom cleaner here could use a bit of a refill, so let's actually do this together and I can show you how it works. So first you fill your bottle with warm water to the little logo right here. Then you just drop in your tablet, you wait for it to completely fizzle out. You don't have to do anything, no stirring or anything involved. You just wait for it to completely dissolve. Then you can twist on your nozzle and you're ready to go, ready to start cleaning. And that is all it takes to stop having to buy plastic bottles of cleaners. I use Blueland's Clean Essentials kit, which features the multi-surface cleaner, which I use for everything basically. The glass and mirror cleaner, self-explanatory, and then the bathroom cleaner, which we just keep in the bathroom permanently. And the Clean Essentials kit also comes with a foam soap dispenser. The foam soap also comes in little tablets that smell amazing. We currently have that one down in the kitchen. If this sounds good to you, then definitely be sure to click the link in my description box, which gets you 15% off of your first kit. So definitely be sure to check that out. I can highly recommend them. It's all I use in my house at the moment and I've been loving it. So thank you so much, Blueland, for sponsoring this video. And now let's get started with this dress. I have my two smaller leftover pieces here. And ideally, I would like to get the bodice out of these completely so that I can use the entire bigger piece for my skirt. The bodice pieces are fairly small, so I honestly think I should be able to do this. I'm not gonna pay too much attention to the direction of this pattern because the tulips are kind of scattered about anyway, and I don't think it would matter too much if I don't follow the direction of this pattern. So I'm just gonna see how I can fit the bodice pieces onto here. Oh wait, the bodice back has to go on a fold. That's pretty important. Oh, I don't think it's gonna fit. No! Oh no. I don't think a pattern piece that big is gonna fit no matter how I turn this. So I think I'm gonna have to do a seam down the back, which is okay. So I'll just add a little bit of seam allowance onto here and then cut out two of those individually, and then I should be fine. I'm trying to match the pattern for the center back so that it doesn't, look all strange in the back, because it is supposed to be one piece. But I found, miraculously, I am in so much luck today, that the pattern repeats right on this edge, right here. So I can just place it just right there. I cannot believe how lucky I got with this. Status update. I have my center back here. The most noticeable element, which is this tulip in the center, is matched. I also did the darts in the armholes here on both sides, so we're starting to give some shape to the bodice fronts. And the next step has to do with that as well. I have, let me point you down here. The bodice has a slash line right here. I mentioned it's gonna come down to halfway across the bust. So it has a slash line here, and you are to insert a little gore there to make space for the bust. I have two of those triangles, and I made sure to have a leafy side and a flowery side on each so I can see which one fits better. I'm gonna attach this to one of the sides, then slash it open along this slashing line and attach the other side so that that this triangle is inserted in there. So I'm just gonna follow instructions on that. Shouldn't be too complicated. And then I'll be back to show you the result. This was surprisingly difficult to do, actually. I feel like I didn't do the neatest job of it. I also feel like I created way more space here than I need. But, you know, we'll just roll with it and see how this ends up. I'm not entirely sure how everything will sit on the body once it's ready. And we can always troubleshoot later. So I'm just gonna press this as instructed and move on. And if it's horrendous by the end, then we can always go back and fix it. Because that's a thing we can do. As we've learned. Oh, more glitter. Glitter everywhere. I am never, ever going to get rid of this glitter, guys. The next step is to attach the front and back together. That should be simple enough. And then afterwards, I'm gonna go around the top with bias tape to close it off. So I think that's gonna involve some hand stitching on the back of that. It means I get to binge watch another show today. Yay! Let's attach this front and back together first. So let's see. I have the bodice back. And then the front. I'm gonna attach those at the shoulder seams and the side seams. The edges are nicely finished. Apparently you only have to whip stitch along the armholes and not the rest. The rest is just gonna fold it in like a facing. The next step is they want me to bone the front, like just the very front center here. I think because this closes with hooks and eyes, I think maybe the boning just stabilizes that area a little bit. Might actually work really nicely. Based off of what the instructions are, I do think they are using a different type of boning that I don't have. So I don't want to bother with the steel boning for this. So I found a few leftovers of the extra wide zip ties that I still had. And I think these will be perfect to use with that. So I'm gonna not follow the instructions on that because you're supposed to sew in the boning, which I can't sew this in. I would need to make a channel. And then you fold over the edge to create kind of like a self-facing. So I'm just gonna do that straight away and then make a channel in here and just insert the boning that way. And that should make things a little bit easier for me. And I think that's actually the bodice more or less done. And after that, we can move on to the skirt, which is really exciting. My bodice is done. I did end up whip stitching the facing on the inside after all. It is a part of the process, just later than I expected. It's all finished now. I have a little placket in front here that's gonna help me take care of any gap that may emerge when I do my fastenings in the front here. So yeah, now that this is done, let me actually try it on. I haven't tried it on in a while. But what I was gonna say is I have decided that I'm gonna do a panel skirt after all, and I'm gonna do a panel skirt with a gathered waistband because I feel like a dirndl, or at least any dirndl inspired thing, has to have a gathered waist. I will have both a gathered waist and volume down the back because that's what bothers down the bottom. That's what bothers me about just gathered skirts, is that they come down so flat at the bottom. But yeah, here's the top. Looks really cute. I think the size is all right, even over a sweater, which is what I was going for, of course. Oh, I haven't thought about the length yet. Maybe I should do that first. It needs a little bit more thinking. Yeah, I have to determine the length first before I can cut out my panels, I think. Alright, it's day 3 and time to get this dress finished. So the skirt is done and I have attached it. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. There was way less width in this than I thought there was. It was honestly just the width of the fabric itself, which is 1.5 meters. So the taper isn't as dramatic. It came out as more of an A-line skirt, but I think it looks pretty cute. It has a bit more of a 60s feel to it. So the last things I have left to do are making the fastenings. So the hook and eye closures along the front and then hemming the skirt. I think I'm gonna start with the hemming, just to get that out of the way. And then I can sit down and do some more hand sewing on the hook and eye closures. The dress is done and I have some things to say. There are some parts of it that I really like and some parts that I think I need to get back to and alter in order for this dress to really work. There is way too much boob space here. I am not that well endowed. And yeah, these triangles are just a little bit redundant on me, or at least I don't need as much of them. Also, I didn't have enough fabric for the skirt. It's not even close to being a circle. It's very much an A-line skirt. I don't think it looks very modern. Even though I make stuff that is inspired by historical fashion, I do like to give it a modern, maybe slightly girly twist. And this is not that. Maybe if I make it knee length, this will work a little bit better and look a bit younger. Another thing I love is the closure here in front. The hooks and eyes are alternating. So it's hook, eye, hook, eye, hook, eye, and then eye, hook, eye, hook, eye, hook. Which makes it really sturdy actually. Alteration time. So I have unpicked one seam on each side of these boob triangles. As I had it on, I just kind of shifted this triangle inward to the place where it actually should sit, which is halfway down the triangle. So on this side I have already sewn it in. So this is the finished result. Much smaller, it's gonna look much better. So all I have to do now is cut off the excess triangle fabric in the back here, cut off the excess ribbon and just re-sew that. I should be able to do pretty invisibly just by hand, which is fantastic. And then I've decided to take an extra 6 centimeters off of the hem. So I'm gonna do that as well, and hopefully that fixes the biggest issues I have with this. And after that, I think actually I should have a pretty good dress. So let's do it. Okay, this is a lot better. It's still not my favorite dress I've ever made. I think it's something about this type of top. My brain just wants a big voluminous skirt with it. And yeah, I think it just would have worked better if it was more material, but alas, there is no more material. That's kind of the point of a Stash Buster project. I have to work with what I have. And I think with that in mind, it's all right. I mean, it is at least wearable now. It does very much need this ribbon. I feel like it just looks a lot better when there's something separating the top from the bottom, which I also feel like is the case with completely printed dresses. But a dirndl in particular is designed to wear something with it. You obviously have your traditional apron with it typically. So I do feel like the ribbon really helps save a little bit of that. But yeah, I'm glad that the bust is now a much better fit. I definitely, yeah, that needed to happen. I am very happy that I did go back and redo it, and I need to remember this and do it in the future. So yeah, the new and improved version. I am gonna end the video here, so thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed coming on this little stash busting adventure with me. If you did enjoy, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see what else I will be up to in the upcoming videos. Don't forget to check out Blue Land and my link in the description box below to get 15% off of your first cleaning set. There is another video here that I think you might also enjoy. You can go watch next. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!